Hi, I'm Lizzie Oakes, and I remember when Easter first started to change from being all about Easter eggs and hot cross buns for me. I was around 11 years old, and my neighbours invited me to an Aglow meeting. For the first time in my life, I was in an environment where I tangibly felt the presence of God. I was intrigued, but also, to be honest, a little freaked out by it all. My neighbours also gave me a book to read. It was the story of Jesus and his crucifixion, written in a style that was easy for me to understand. And as I turned the pages, I remember this question arising in me. How come no one ever told me about this stuff before? Is this just a story, or can I actually believe it? I now realise it was part of my spiritual awakening, an awakening to the wonder and the mystery of God. It was as if that God space in my heart was starting to pulse with life, and I was beginning to comprehend that God could actually be real. It was only a year later that my big brother became a Christian, and I followed along after him to church. I became part of this big family of believers. We'd go to the beach, have barbecues, and people would invite me round for dinner. I was included in everything. It's pretty funny to think, but as a 12-year-old, I had a pretty epic social life. Not long afterwards, I decided to get baptised and give my life to God. And I remember sitting in a bath in a room full of mostly strangers. I felt pretty nervous. The pastor put me under the water, and as I came up out of the water, it was like night and day. One moment, I was a young girl sitting in a bathtub. Next minute, I was full of joy like I had never experienced. Like I'd been connected to an electric current. I couldn't wipe the smile off my face. Well, it's so good to take a moment and pause and remember that time, because 40 years later, I can remember it so clearly and still feel the wonder of it all. Sometimes now I'm fortunate enough to catch a glimpse of that dawning start to take place in other people's lives. Like the time I prayed for a mum friend outside the school gate. She had a migraine and the pain went and she was healed. And I tell you, she was blown away. Or other times when I've offered to pray for friends of mine and God's touched their lives. People who all knew I had a faith, but they didn't actually realise that they themselves could encounter the tangible presence of God. But to witness that, an awakening that God might actually be real, that God is interested in the detail of their lives. The look of wonder in their eyes, the tear on the cheek, people being touched by God's love. To me, those moments are what life is all about. So this Easter, as well as enjoying the Easter eggs and the hot crust buns, maybe you could be the link in the chain that could help someone else take a step closer to God. We might not be the one who is there when they make a commitment to Christ, but it is such a joy and a privilege to bring God into people's world. That's what he longs for. That's what he hung on the cross for. A loving God wanting to be up close and personal and involved in all of his kids' lives.